You got it going?
Yeah.
Is that running?
Yes.
It's on? Okay.
How much an hour do I get for this, huh?
You get as long as you want. Mel, I'm Charles Collins, and this is my wife Carol on the camera.
Nice to meet both of you.
Today we're going to talk about your oral history. We'd like to start with when you were born and really wrap it up today. So Mel, let's start out by asking you where and when you were born.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, 1924,
All right.
What month?
in February
Just, have you got a day?
23rd. And you need a day too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I thought, what am I going to get? A card to buy beer?
Yeah, you might.
Have
When I
Yes.
first came home from the service, they had them here if
Sure.
you couldn't show. And I'm wearing a uniform with all his ribbons on the damn thing, and I had to show a card to get a drink in a bar.
Yeah, I know, I remember that, yeah.
And then, shortly after that, I was helping my uncle. He was working on his car, and I'm underneath it, and taking the transmission and flywheel out on the cement floor.
Yeah,
And I'm holding it. He says, "Are you ready to catch the flywheel?" And I said, "Sure." Of course, I was a little drunk, but down come the flywheel, whack on my hand. Now it's all bandaged up.
yeah.
I haven't bought any civilian clothes yet. I'm still wearing some military clothes. I walk into a bar. I didn't have to show my age. How'd that happen, soldier? Tell us about it. Where'd you get wounded? I said, nothing. I just hurt myself. Oh, come on, you're buy him a beer. Buy him a bottle. Well, I could get drunk in there in 20 minutes, not spend a nickel.
How do you spell your name?
Meldon.
Meldon.
Yes.
That's different. Okay.
Yes.
Mel, do you remember much before you went to grade school?
Yes, I do.
Tell us about it.
I was in the kindergarten
Uh-huh,
out in Hudsonville area,
okay.
and I remember it very well. And the teacher told my grandmother raised me. She told my grandmother that I needed glasses, that I'm squinting at the chalkboard.
Yeah,
Well, this is Depression days, 1929.
yeah,
I remember that too. So she took me to Association of Blind, and they bought me a pair of glasses.
What
That
association
was
of
before I
what?
was in the first grade.
Association for the Blind.
Oh, okay.
And they bought me a pair of glasses.
Did that
It's
help?
odd you asked me this, because I was talking to them yesterday. My wife had a stroke and affected her eyes. She's blind now.
Mm-hmm,
And a year ago, I bought a $2,000 reading machine from them. It's a camera deal.
Yeah.
And it enlarges, you put your paper under
Yep.
here. But she can't use it. And I called them up and I said, "I'll donate it back to you if you'll come and get it." And they said, "Well, that's different, you know." I said, "No, it isn't." I said, "Way back, the Association of Blind gave me a pair of glasses because my grandmother did not have the money to buy them. Come and get it, free. $2,000 worth of reading machine.
did they get it?
They're coming the 14th, no, 24th. What's the date today?
Today's the
21st.
21st.
No, 24th they're coming after it.
Okay,
That's different. Usually they say, well, you bring it.
It's big, it's a heavy thing.
Oh,
It's
my.
got a sliding platform that you can put your paper on it, and as you're reading
Yeah.
it, you can move it.
yeah,
And you can regulate how big the
right.
printing gets. My God, you can
Okay.
raise those letters that high.
Yeah, they're really neat.
Yeah, it takes a
You bet.
fine print right up. Yeah,
Well, Mel, you lived with your grandmother then?
yes.
How come you did that?
My mother died at 2
Your mother died when you were 2?
years old, and my
And-
dad just disappeared.
Okay. Well, he
And
couldn't care
after
for you
about
for some
4 or
reason.
5 years, he couldn't find him, so my grandmother adopted me.
Okay,
Well, then when he did finally show up, the adoption papers read that I would be taken to him And I, at 12 years old, and I make the decision of whether I want to live with him or stay with my grandmother.
At 12?
At 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 12 years old.
So what did you decide?
Well, I looked at my dad and I said, I met with him. He had married a very wealthy lady in Newport, Rhode Island. In the Newport, Rhode Island, that's Buddy, if you know where
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and said to myself, he's, you know, all these things, he's trying to apologize to me. And I thought, where in hell was you when I was 2 years old?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was offered the moon. I turned it all down.
Yeah, you did all right without it.
I didn't need him, no.
Right.
I still don't.
Is he still
I don't
alive?
need much of anybody. No, he died at 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mel, as you started grade school, do you remember any of your teachers?
Not very, yeah, one in the 6th grade, very well.
Yeah.
We should have more like her.
Yeah, we should.
She had, in the back of the room, she had a rubber hose, a garden hose, about that long.
And she used
Okay.
it once in a while.
And she used it, I would say at least once a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
At,
Quite a
we
polite.
knew if when
Right.
she was going to the back of the room and we heard that closet door open, somebody was gonna get it across the shoulder. Usually it was me.
They should have something
But
like that today.
6th grade, yes. Yeah, very well. I had a pretty good memory.
Yep, they actually, she had quite a quiet classroom, didn't she?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we all respected
And
her
said,
too.
yes, ma'am.
And we didn't go home and tell our folks, oh, no, we didn't.
You probably got it again when you got home.
You see, but they don't even get it now, that's the problem.
No,
They
they
don't even
don't.
get it the first time.
Right, that's right.
It's a shame.
I always say if you discipline them hard enough the first time, they're not gonna do it the second time.
So Mel, did you go on to high school?
Yes, yes.
And what did you do in high school?
Oh, got in all kinds of trouble.
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that, you know.
Well,
They kept you out of jail, evidently.
oh, yes. But yeah, I did. I don't know why, but I had a lot of fun. I was the smallest guy in the school, usually was.
Usually, uh-huh.
And of course, they all had to test me.
Yeah.
And because of my grandmother and income and everything involved, we moved quite frequently.
Okay.
Pretty near every year, different schools.
Oh, okay.
But that was all right.
Yeah.
That was all right. And I think I've interviewed people to hire in my time. And a lot of them, they don't want to move their kids out of school.
Yeah.
They don't think that's good for the kids. Well, I don't quite agree with them. I thought, it didn't hurt me a bit. I went to a lot of schools.
Right.
Yeah. Well, did you like school?
Not particularly. Typical American boy, I didn't
Yeah.
like school.
Right.
I liked senior, when I was a senior. Probably because I knew this was the last year.
Did you play any tricks on your teachers and stuff?
Oh, if you want to look up the archives,
Sure.
we had a superintendent fired.
Uh-huh.
The war had started. Now, we all knew seniors, we were gonna go to it.
Yeah.
And we had planned a senior trip. And this is Kelloggsville High School, is where I graduated from. And our president, class president, was an all-A student. Everybody liked the guy, never had an enemy in the world.
There you go.
And the superintendent said, called us or told him we had a meeting or something, that we could not take the trip because of the gas was going on rationing.
Yeah.
So we accepted that. What's so wrong with that? But then, you know, we were taught to do our homework, weren't we?
Yeah.
So we did it. All the rest of the schools were going.
Yeah.
They're all taking their trips,
Uh-huh.
not us. So we said, President, go in there and tell that superintendent the rest of the schools are taking their trips. Because he told us they were not.
Aha.
So the superintendent said, you're calling me a liar. And he kicked him out of school.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, now here's the kid, all A's. He knows he's going to the service. We all know we're going to the service. He's going to kick him out the last 2 months of senior year. We ain't going to sit still for this. We struck.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, did you live in Grand Rapids all your life?
No,
Did you, Carol?
no.
There used to be a morning paper called the Herald.
Yes, I know that, yes.
Well, you'll find it in their archives.
Really?
You'll probably even find my name in there. I was one of the ringleaders. But
Ah,
we struck, and back then there was a tunnel on Division Avenue because of the traffic.
uh-huh.
The kids crossing right there by the school. The girls kept us, it was cold yet. I mean, this was early spring. It was still cold. Kept us supplied with cocoa, coffee, whatever, hot stuff.
Mhm.
And I was dating a girl, and her mother was going with a deputy sheriff. And so he came out to look at this strike situation. Oh! And he said, well, hi, Mel, how are you doing? I said, oh, fine. He says, he explained the strike to me, so I did. Oh, he says, let me give you some advice. He says, don't get on the grass. Don't go back in the building. It was time for shots.
Yeah.
Okay, we will. We won't do that. We didn't. The nurse had to give us the shots out there in the cold. Well, pretty quick, the parents got involved in this thing. They wanted to know what the hell is going on. We're in the Herald, front page at one. And when they found out about it, they asked for his resignation. You don't kick a all-A student out 2 months before graduation.
Well, not for,
I know it.
not for an implication.
He didn't call him a liar. He
No,
just said
he
the rest of the schools are taking
Sure.
theirs, so why can't we take ours? And you're calling
right.
me a liar, see, is what he said, and he didn't deny that. So, well, we won. We took the trip. I didn't even go on it. I had to work.
After all that time, you didn't go. Okay.
Well, I had a job, but I had to work.
What was your job?
There used to be a bakery in town called Schaefer's Bread.
Yes?
Oh, yes.
They circle around and deliver to the door. You tell them how many loaves of this you ought to.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go in there at midnight, a big warehouse out here on Division Avenue.
Yeah.
Way out. And these little trucks would be in there, and on the doors would be open, and there'd be a sheet the driver would put out there, so many loaves of white bread, so many loaves of wheat, so many cinnamon rolls, so this. We would take this bread was baked in Kalamazoo, and a big semi would bring it up. And we'd take these bread out of the semi between midnight and 8 in the morning,
Load the trucks.
load them little trucks, and I would then go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you got up at like 4 in the morning to go do that?
No, midnight to 8 in the
Midnight,
morning.
okay.
I worked 8-hour shift.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So when'd you sleep?
I made $1 an hour. That's more than WPA was making.
Well, that's right.
And I was the only kid in school that had a car.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember it was 42, 43. My
40.
dad was working at Chevrolet in Flint and as a supervisor and made $1 an hour.
Oh.
So you was making good money.
Oh, yes. Yes, I was.
You bet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I remember him coming home. He was so happy. He got a 40-hour salary at $1 an hour.
And I don't even know how I got through school, but I made it.
Probably
You must
that
be awful
girl.
smart.
It was a teacher. I had a crush on a teacher.
There you go.
But
Did you play any sports at all, or was
football damn near got killed.
it
Kind of
okay?
small to be playing football.
Well, Kelloggsville is such a small school that if you just agree to play, the coach would take you. He didn't care how big you were.
What position did you play?
Would you believe guard?
Sure.
Now, I'm down there on my knees and I'm looking across at these guys in Hudsonville, some of these big farmers in Greenville and Hastings. Oh my God. I didn't get broke, but I got crushed a few times.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Sound like fun.
Yeah, I guess it was. At that time, I thought it was.
So what year did you graduate?
That year.
What was the year?
42.
1942. So where was you at when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Where was I at? Gee,
It was
that-
a Sunday
Good
afternoon?
thing I'm not on a witness chair because
Right.
you pinned me down to the date and the hour.
Yeah.
I've been in those witness chairs quite a lot.
Uh-oh.
42. Where was I?
41, December 7, 1941,
December-
Sunday afternoon.
Still in school.
I was,
Yep, he was still in school.
when it actually happened.
Yep,
Yeah, but we didn't know about it until that evening.
you didn't know about it till
Or next
either
day, I
Sunday
think.
or Monday,
Yeah. I was just thinking. I think I was home with my grandmother.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, well, some people happen to hear it on the radio and things like that, you know,
Oh.
and so they remember it quite vividly, wondering where was Pearl Harbor,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
No, I knew where it was.
Yeah, okay, Mel. As you graduated from high school, what did you do then? I mean, you knew you was gonna go to the service.
To answer that, I got to back up.
Okay,
I mentioned my uncle helping him with his car.
yes. Smashing your hand,
He was a diesel mechanic.
okay.
Diesel was rather new then in the trucking world.
Yeah,
And he had jobs on pipelines with the diesel Caterpillar tractors and stuff. So in the summer, he would get me a job on a pipeline.
mm-hmm,
And I would eat my lunch while I was a welder's helper. You clean the well when he gets done.
I worked on a pipeline,
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or I would be a towcat driver and tow
uh-huh,
the, all right. So, when I got out, I went to work for Campbell Wyatt Cannon,
yep. Boundary,
maintenance welder.
okay,
A skilled maintenance welder, a damn skilled, because on this pipeline, I would eat my lunch before the rest of the welders quit for lunch. They all quit at once.
Yeah.
And I would go pick up the stinger and practice. And they thought, if you want to learn to weld that bad, we're gonna help you. Now, I had a bunch of good teachers.
bet you did, cause the welder breaks out, he's done.
That's right. So, when I went to Campbell Wyatt Cannon, they were advertising for a maintenance welder. Well, I was mad at the service, mad at the draft board. I wanted to be the Air Force. I could name, my hobby was building model airplanes.
Yes,
And every part of an airplane, I wanted to fly. It didn't worry me. I thought, you get killed flying, you don't come home a vegetable. You're
Ah.
done.
That's right.
yeah,
It's quick, painless.
yeah.
Kinda.
Kinda,
So,
almost.
so they wouldn't let me. Nope, can't go to the Air Force. Well, okay, can't go to the Navy, nope. How about the Coast Guard? Nope. The draft board had me pegged. They were the right age,
Yeah.
not married, nothing. So, they advertised for me, and I walked over Campbell Wyatt Cannon, and this foreman said to me, there's a bracket up here on this beam out here where the hot oil or hot steel is poured. We gotta weld a bracket up there for a fan. That was upside down welding.
Mm-hmm,
So he says, you weld that up there in the States, you got your job. So they brought me a ladder up, I went and I welded the damn thing, then I hung on to it for a while. How much is this fan gonna weigh? And I weighed 150 pounds. Get down here, you got that job. But then they got me deferred.
yeah,
Six. 6 months, though, that's all they'd give.
Mm-hmm,
Well, then I went to the service, and same thing, Air Force. I passed everything but my eyes. I was too colorblind.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I remember they wouldn't take a colorblind person, would they?
No. Well,
No.
you gotta see your.
Yeah.
Since then, I've got a pilot's license, but back then you had to look at the earth tones. That killed me
Mm-hmm,
right there. Yeah, I can see red, blue, and yellow, but earth tones, no. And that's the ways you use to navigate back when you get done doing all the screwing around there. Where are you? And the gas tank's about half shut.
Yeah.
You got a little ways to go, and where are you? You better be able to recognize those colors. You know.
yeah,
Well, I see their point.
So what did you go into?
So, well, then the same captain interviewed me, and he said, I'd like to send you to OCS. I had good
Mhm.
mechanical aptitude, IQ was good, so on. But he says, and I weighed 125 pounds then. I was down to 125 pounds, and I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
He says, I can't see you out in front of a bunch of men that's old enough to be your father. I said, why don't you try me? No, can't do it. So I'm gonna send you to Florida, diesel school.
Okay,
I grew up with a diesel mechanic. I was fixed my, he said to me when I got the first car, you break it, you fix it.
yeah,
And he would tell me, but we wouldn't fix it. So now I gotta go to diesel school. I knew more about this stuff than an instructor. But that's what I did.
yeah.
And then I was sent to England. And
When did you go, what year did you go to England?
February,
Must have been about 43,
no, February of 44.
44. Okay,
June 44 was D-Day.
yes it was.
So, and I was in England long.
Mhm, okay,
But our job was to take the equipment from the boats, tanks, cars, trucks,
Mhm.
whatever. Most of them didn't run. They don't today. They come into a dealer
Yeah.
and his garage will do a few things before they set it out there in the showroom. And we would get that stuff ready and dispatch it out to the different units. I
okay.
even got stopped by the bobbies in England, and I was speeding in a tank. Can you imagine?
That's hard to do,
On the
isn't
Queens Highway.
Oh,
it? You got stopped.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I said, "Jeez, I didn't know this was her highway." Well, I was road testing. It was what I was doing.
Sure.
It wouldn't run at high RPMs. It wanted to quit. It'd miss. So, but I didn't get a ticket. But that's what I did. And then I was a sergeant for a week.
All right,
A whole week.
okay.
We, back to my high school days, I'm the only one that had a car.
Yeah.
Back in those days, kids didn't have driver's licenses easy.
No.
My uncle had a sign for me, I had to take the police for a ride. Well, I was one of the few guys that had a driver's license and a few guys that could even drive a truck with a stick in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, so I was called in, we were taught to, it's hard to believe, but it works. We could waterproof a car and drive it underwater. It'd be good for 20 minutes.
Yes,
The whole idea of this is get it from the boat to the beach.
yeah,
Because you get these sandbars, oh, Lake Michigan has them.
mm-hmm.
The ocean is worse. The boat would hit one of them high sandbars and stop right there, and you still are not on the beach.
Right,
So I was called in and take 7 guys with me. We had 7 Jeeps and 7 trailers, and we had the stuff comes in 5-gallon buckets. Did you ever use stuff to clean wallpaper? You could work it with your hands.
Sure,
Did you ever
yes.
use that stuff? That's what it was. I don't remember what we called it. But he says, you're gonna take these guys with you, you go to these different ordinances and teach them how to do it, their own ordinance companies. And we think you can do one a day. But don't let that worry you. Get the job done right. So, and he said, you'll have a card, and any military base you stop at when it's mealtime, when you're moving from this base to the next is England, just pull in and you can either bunk there if they have room for you, or I know they'll be able to feed you. So, okay, away we go. We each got a Jeep. We got all this stuff in the back of the Jeeps, because as we trade them, we leave it with him.
yeah,
And he said, by the way, Sergeant, see you when you get back. Just like that. Until then, I was a private. And I thanked him. So, anyway, it was noontime, and we're passing this military base. And it's a Wren base. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
British Wrens? Females.
okay, yes, I have heard
They
of
were
it,
called
sure.
Wrens. So anyway, I pulled in the guard and I told her at the gate there, and I said, what we're doing, there's 7 of us, and we stopped for lunch. Our instructions was we could stop at any military base. Well, the guard said, it was the lady. She says, I don't think that included our base, but I'll call the colonel. She said, the colonel said, send him up, I'll talk to him. So I went up there. Dolly, what a cute gal, about 40 years old. Jeez.
oh,
She looked at me and she said, Sergeant, I know you may be hungry, But that wasn't the excuse you stopped at this base. I couldn't keep a straight face. She says, and I'm gonna turn your request down. So, I thanked her for that, and I said, okay, then where's the next Army base? Because now it's, it's past 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Gotta eat 12 o'clock. So she told me how to find it. Well, I get back there, and I'm in the shower cleaning up to go report to the captain. Either way, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't cleaned up, he'd say, can't you stop long enough to take a shower,
Yeah.
But I was in the shower when he yelled, where's Pitt? Oh, I go in there and he says, okay. He says, okay, Private Pitt. Why did you stop at that Wren base? I said, for lunch. What else? Yeah, he started to laugh. He said, you're back to a private. I said, thank you, sir. And he said, by the way, you did a hell of a good job. Then I didn't care.
So you taught all these people how to waterproof the cars.
20 minutes, yeah, 20 minutes underwater, yeah,
That would be long enough to get on the beach.
yeah.
How did it work?
Works good if you do it right.
Okay.
You screw up a little bit, just anyone, you have to have, I'll explain it to you. You have to have air intake into the gas tank. As the gas is coming out of the tank, it has to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have air coming into the carburetor.
Yeah.
You have to have the air to ignite with the gas to have your explosion.
Sure.
Then you also have to plug up that exhaust to a point where it's above the water, because the water can run right up into flood the motor and kill it, just like that.
Yep.
So if any of that leaks, if
You're
it
in
leaks,
trouble,
it's good,
yeah.
you're in trouble. Well, we take care of all that. Now it's getting air, that's all it needs, it's getting gas. Now we gotta worry about the electric. You take this stuff and you have to change the point setting, what the points are in the old fashioned distributor. Points,
Yep.
condenser, and coil.
Yep.
That's the heart of your electrical system. And you cover all this up, and you smooth that out against the block. Make sure that there's no little
Yeah.
place the water can leak in, because water and electric don't mix.
Not too well.
No, if that shorts out, you're done too.
Yeah.
So you do that right, and the only way you're gonna find out if you did it right or not is driving in the water. And the last one we did, the lieutenant was being real smart. He said, we can do it. Our men just did everything you told them and they just did it. He says, just to show you we know what we're doing, we'll drive it out there. I'll drive it out there. He drove it out there in 5 feet of water. He's standing on doing, come and get me! In the English Channel.
Come on back out here and get me.
And we said, what? So there's times, the war is not what it's cracked up to be, but there's times if you got any sense of humor at all, it helps.
You need it.
It helps.
Well, now you're stationed in England, Mel, and it's coming up toward June.
Very close, yes.
You bet. And you're waterproofing.
Yeah.
You're teaching the guys how to waterproof the cars.
Yeah.
Was it the Jeeps and that sort of thing, or all the vehicles?
Some of the trucks we did, but mostly Jeeps. Trucks, usually, all we had to worry about was the exhaust pipe and the air. Because usually their ignition would be high on them.
Yeah.
But we could do a Jeep to where you could stand on the steering wheel
Really?
and hang on to the hood. You take a stick and prop your throttle roots.
Yeah.
We would set that throttle at a higher RPM. But if you're going to play those games, you better set it higher yet.
Yeah.
Because the higher you get, the more back pressure there is on the exhaust pipe. Yeah. So, oh, it was a lot of fun, But anyway, but I was in England when the German Luftwaffe would come over every night.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. And our army, lots of times they really think things out. They put us right next to the Spitfire aircraft factory, the old Spitfire fighter plane.
Yes.
Well, Germany loved to bomb that every night. And we would get the flak like crazy. It would come back down from our guns going up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, big pieces. They would come down. A buddy of mine, we were out there with our first or second night there. We were out there watching this. It's different, you know.
Yeah.
And we're watching this. So this is combat, yeah. And this stuff is coming down. And it went right down through our tent, right through his pillow. We were sleeping on canvas, fold up cots, and
Right.
stuck in the ground. A piece about that big. It stuck in the ground about that deep. If he'd been in bed, he would have had a head off.
And he said, wow.
Yeah, well. Yeah, it wasn't his time, see.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
No, he got killed later in France.
Oh, did he? That's too bad.
Yeah.
Listen, so what did you do on D-Day? How did you,
D-Day, we didn't go D-Day.
You didn't go on D-Day?
We went in D+12.
okay,
Excuse me, I got that wrong. It's D+6.
okay,
June 12th.
all right, yes.
And then, ordnance companies, we were called what you'd call depot ordnance.
All right,
And the baking companies, big baking companies, that was baking all the food for everybody in England. So wonder we didn't sink that island. We all were shipped to the infantry, just like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Here's your M1.
yeah, here's your M1 go, huh?
Yeah.
As you crossed into Normandy, what did you see?
A mess.
Yeah.
Uh,
You saw all these
one thing I
vehicles
saw
that,
that I
that
remember so clearly. We could destroy a little town, but that big cathedral was still standing there.
isn't that
We've
something?
heard that. I mean, all the buildings around got bombed and everything, but the cathedrals stood.
Yeah, the windows were broke, but that's about all. Yeah,
Isn't that something?
yes.
Yeah.
It can make a believer out of you.
Did you notice how many vehicles were stalled in the water that weren't waterproofed right?
No, because if they were stalled, they were usually underwater.
Okay.
But now the boat, the boat we went on, our company,
Yeah.
we waterproofed the Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
Would you believe it? They dropped the door. It was a big LST. The doors open
Yeah.
like this. The bow does.
Yeah.
The
And the ramp goes down, yes.
They all drove out on dry sand. The tide went out.
Yeah, okay.
We were wondering about that. We was wondering how many we were sitting out there at night.
Yeah.
We were sitting out there. For some reason, they didn't open the doors. And most of the guys were all below. I stayed up on deck. I thought this ship gets hit, I want to be in the water, not down in there. It's full of tanks and trucks, so I think it would sink like a lead.
Yeah.
So you was on a
we
big
sat out
ship.
there all night pretty much. And
was on
finally,
LST.
a little after dawn, we got the word that we were going to dock and unload. And they started unloading with the ship. So sitting on the ship, we could see we were down there on sand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the time they let that door out, the tide had went all the way out, we were on sand. But we lost a lot of men on D-Day
Oh, yes.
because of water, not because of bullets.
Because of water and
Drown. Yeah,
many paratroopers.
yeah. You're loaded down with your ammunition, your rifles, and
Yeah.
just that weight. And some of them maybe weren't good swimmers to start with, or could
Right.
keep panic, could not get rid of that stuff long enough to swim. But
Was the beaches cleaned up at all when you
oh
landed
no,
here?
a mess.
Still a mess, still,
Oh yeah.
yeah. We've talked to guys that did D-Day and itself and D-Day 1 and 2 and -1 and -2. And their stories are all different. One guy we talked to that landed on D-Day with I think it was an ordnance group. He said, we didn't see nothing. We just went over there and set up a tent.
Tell them to sober up once in a while. But you know,
So after you went across and this was D-Day +6.
+6, yeah.
and you, what did you do? You set up a bakery?
No,
No?
the bakery. When I mentioned bakery, England, they had, just like in our ordinance company, they had, what do you want to call them, depot bakeries that
Yeah.
baked for several camps.
Yeah.
They all went to France the same way. Here's your M1. We
I
don't
see.
need this big bakery
Oh,
anymore,
okay.
see.
Okay.
We're all gonna live on 10 and 1 ration. You've heard of that,
Yeah,
10 and 1, 1 man, 10 days.
right.
You know, it's not bad ration, but if that's all you're gonna get, it's terrible.
Yeah. It's better than nothing
No,
though.
we liked it because we got cigarettes with it, see,
Uh-huh.
and a can of bacon.
Oh, okay.
You had to cook it, which you can't in combat anyway. I
Right.
mean, you know, you don't do dumb things like that. That's it. You trade that bacon for other stuff.
And the cigarettes?
Well, that's what happened. So that bakers all went to the infantry too. They
Okay.
had what you call a repo depot,
Yes.
and the you go to the depot whichever you're assigned to, and every day they're pulling them out and you know, assigned to different divisions, different companies, and so on.
So where did you go after that? And
Second division,
yeah.
yeah.
And where, what was your travels?
23rd Infantry Division, or
Okay.
regiment in the second division. Yeah.
Okay, and what I'm driving at is how did you make your way toward Germany?
As best as I remember, I walked most of it.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's
I always said, you know, hell, you've ever been to Europe? I said, yeah, we're from France to Russia. What do you want to know about it?
okay. Did you get involved at all in the Battle of the Bulge?
All through it, beginning to end.
So tell us about that.
Sad. Very sad.
Yeah.
That's one time the American Army really got it.
Really got pushed back, didn't they? Yes.
Yeah, and some of it was mistakes on our part. I don't know. When I first realized we were in a battle, we were holding on a Siegfried line and our job was at that time we would you could drop a bomb on one of those pillboxes and you couldn't crack it.
Right.
So we'd crawl up there after dark and plant dynamite by them and crack them that way. But it had to be after dark, 'cause they were all covered for each
Yeah.
other. And then we got smart and decided to bring some tanks up and plow the doors over at night. And then the next day we'd hear them out there cussing and digging in shovels. That part was the fun part.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've never forgot this. I don't think I ever will. But if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be telling you about it.
Right.
But a little boy joined us, maybe a month before this. Yeah, a little French boy. We called him little. He was about 4 foot, 3, 4 maybe, pretty near 5 feet. He was about 15 years old. And he had a bayonet and he kept it polished. He had picked this up from someplace, one of our bayonets,
Sure.
and he wanted a rifle. Well, finally we found an extra rifle. He was with us. He just tagged right along. We all
Yeah.
gave him something to wear, and he tagged along with us. And finally, he got a rifle. He wanted to be an American soldier.
Sure.
And one of the fellows could talk pretty good French with him, and German. So the kid learned German because Hitler's
Yeah.
boys had his country for quite a while.
Yes.
So we were taking a prisoner now and then in this particular area, and this time we said he wanted to take the 2 prisoners back, and could he do it? And we thought, let's try it. There's something about this kid that bugs us. He wants to be with us all the time, and he wants to do what we do. And so we said, okay, you know where to go, you know right where to go, and go over a couple of little hills. Well, he disappeared with these two prisoners, and we heard 2 rifle shots. And we didn't think too much about it. We thought, but that's different. It's back there. You know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
If you're in combat. So he came back and he had a smile on his face, and we said, asked him, "Was that you shooting back there?" And he said, "Yes." "What was you shooting at?" "Krauts." "Why?" "They tried to run. They tried to escape," he said. Says, "Did you help them?" "Well, Japs bayoneted towards their heels and say rouse, and they ran and he shot them." Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we get court-martialed for that. So we said, why? Back in France, close to Normandy, in that part of France, St. Lo, back in that area, he was held by a German soldier, while an officer and a couple other German soldiers held his dad, raped their mother and their sister, and then cut their throats, and then cut their dad's throat and left them. But they didn't hurt him. Now, hatred, if you want to see hatred, there it was.
Oh, I bet it was. Yes,
I'll
sir.
bet if he's alive today, he's still shooting crows.
Yep.
Yep. And they said, fine. That's all right with us. From then on, he got a person. We could care less.
Then on, he got to take all the prisoners back.
Yeah.
How long did he stay with your group?
Oh, I don't think he was with us more than 2 or 3 days, because we got shifted. And this was the start of the Bulge, right there. We got shifted up to north from where we were, up in the Oregon forest. And he went back then. Said when we were told the trucks will pick us up and take us out of there.
That was wintertime too.
Oh yeah, colder than hell.
Yes.
He's going back to France. He's going back home. And he, take your rifle with you. Your bayonet. That bayonet was shiny, boy. It was just shiny. It's and he was a nice little guy too. He's so proud to be with Americans.
For his age, he's seen so
We're gonna
much.
make you cry.
Yep. Now, you went on up into that forest then?
Yep.
Yeah. I've talked to a number of fellows that was captured in that forest.
Yeah, I got a battle star for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bronze star. I got 4 bronze stars. And that was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But we lost so many men.
Yeah.
Terrible. But the Americans, when they decide they're going to do it, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I pretty near lost my feet in that damn thing.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, I was in the hospital for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. Black clear up to my ankles.
Oh, boy.
And an old doctor looked at him and said to the nurse, warm oil between the toes, keep the cotton there. I want it changed every 2 hours, and you call me if see any color come back. Well, the color started to come back the 2nd day.
All right.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Frostbite?
they'd been chopped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frostbite?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Bad
no
frostbite.
blood.
Yeah.
It's either take them off or blood, gangrene sets in.
Gangrene.
Yeah, you bet.
So, anyway, that's where they got so cold.
Yep.
And I remember we didn't eat for 3 days also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We got a little bit hungry then, didn't you?
Ornery too.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So after you left the forest there, where did you go?
Here, this was kind of funny. We were left. We were left by a given area, which included a little farmhouse, and this was still in the Bulge. We were left to hold until midnight. And the lieutenant gave us a reason. He says, we got the colonels back there digging foxholes for us and putting straw in them so our feet can stay warm a little bit.
Sure.
Because everybody was showing up with frostbite.
Sure.
And, you know, the funny part about frostbite, it don't hurt.
No, it don't. Not,
If it
not while
don't
it's
hurt,
frozen.
you don't think there's anything wrong.
That's right.
until it's too late.
Yeah, I had frostbite on my hands back then.
Once it
Yep.
gets to a point where they're no longer cold,
Then you're in trouble.
they're in trouble. And so we were told to hold until midnight. Yeah, the lieutenant said, we held. But boy, were we surrounded.
Yeah.
But we stayed really until pretty near 1 o'clock because we were so surrounded we didn't dare move.
Yeah.
So then we broke up. We got there's the squad I was in. We were in squad groups.
Yeah.
And our squad had the house. And we broke up. We broke up in 2s and 3s and 4s. Now, half of you want to go with the sergeant, the other half go with the lieutenant. Pick your choice, but we can't go in a group. We'll never get back.
Right.
So we broke up then in groups, and then the groups was down to 2 and 3,
Mhm.
which was the safest way to get back. And I and another guy, we got back. In fact, we got so far back, all of a sudden we were back on the American side, and the only way you could tell is by the way artillery shells was coming in. Yeah. Geez, how did we get this far? But this took 3 days.
Yeah. Really?
Oh yeah, you just moved at night. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, didn't dare move in the daytime.
So what did you do during the daytime? How did you hide or?
Well, one day we hid at a old building. It just it was part of a little town.
Yeah.
We hid the building, yeah.
So one day you stayed in the
I
building.
never forget this. We were in this one building,
Mhm.
and the tanks were running in
Yeah.
the streets, and with the tanks. Now you don't set to with 2 M1s and start shooting at a tank.
No,
Unless you
not-
want to die right now.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyway, this tank was coming down the street, and we're looking out this window.
That German tank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tiger, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Jeep was coming as an intersection. Like this, the
Uh-huh.
tank was coming that way, and two guys said, "Are Americans?" And gee, this Jeep.
Coming the other way.
Yeah, you're talking about being on the front.
Oh yeah.
Well, we could see these two guys on the Jeep, and they stopped for a minute, and they could hear this tank, and we could see it coming this way. Would you believe, I swear, that 2 giant hands picked these 2 guys up and set them in that building, and that tank come around the corner and crushed that Jeep, just that quick.
Really?
Yep.
Nobody in it though.
No, they were in the building already.
Oh wow.
Now, we couldn't yell at them or talk to them, because there was
There's too many.
probably 6 or 8 German soldiers with the tank. They
Yeah.
walked behind it, yeah. So we just minded our own business and watched.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that. It's just like, ding, they were in that building because they heard that tank.
Yeah.
They probably could see the gun barrel coming before the.
That was a wicked tank. It was a
Oh,
really,
you bet.
really wicked tank. It was hard to stop.
Damned hard to stop.
You bet.
One of the best ways we ever found to stop it was with gasoline. That would be one way, and the other way was a bazooka in the
In a track.
In the track, it's
Yeah.
either the track or the turret.
Yeah.
I've seen a bazooka hit one of them and spin.
Spin the turret right
I
around.
bet those guys are getting dizzy as hell in there.
I bet they were.
But no, that stopped them.
Yeah. So this was one of the nights that you stayed.
In the
Hidden.
building. Another time was they had captured an old division
Mm-hmm.
kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and this was the 3rd day, I think. And I found a can of peanut butter in there, a big can of peanut butter, and another big can of pineapple.
Aha, you had.
And a loaf of bread that was harder than damn bag of it. And we sat there and ate that hard bread with peanut butter on it and pineapple.
Huh.
I like it today.
Yeah. That's better than some of the guys that had to eat
Yeah.
spam, you know.
So finally we get back to our lines,
Mm-hmm.
and when we did and knew it was our lines, there was our general out there,
Uh-huh.
our divisional general. Yeah, directing traffic. Yeah,
Who was that? Do you remember?
Robinson, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got back to my company,
Mm-hmm.
and I said to the captain, I said, "Where in the hell are we?" He says, "Well, just a minute." He says, "Where have you been?" I said, where you guys left me. To die about 3 days ago, because we were told to hold regardless.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I've got you, he goes through his papers. He says, I got you listed missing in action. I said, good, I should have stayed over there. Jeez. He said, well, I got a proposition for you. And I said, I'm not interested in any proposition. He says, you got a choice. You want to stay here and take battlefield commission, or you want to go back to ordnance and be a welder? I said, which way is ordnance? Well, they were having trouble. The ordnance company got a buzz bomb, killed a couple of mechanics, killed a welder,
Oh, wow.
a couple of machinists that takes care of the artillery guns when they're screwed up. And the plow at night, you know, they're under a blackout.
Yeah.
Germany's still got fighter planes up there.
Yeah.
And you know what the little slits are? It's just light for night driving. They're supposed to plow those roads at night so they can get the supplies up to the front. Well, they hit bridge abutments and a few things. It stops the plows, and
Yeah,
the driver's ribs goes against the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And those drivers are coming back all beat up. The plows are all busted. So when I went back there, I had to weld snow plows all day long, so I happened to go bust them up that night. But they did. They come in just shame,
Just mashed
black
out,
and
yeah.
blue, and
Yeah.
you know, they didn't have seat belts then either.
No.
No, and you hit a bridge abutment with a snow plow, and even at 5 miles an hour, you was stopped. Bang, that's it.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's what happened. I went back as a welder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Good choice, wasn't it?
And I stayed a welder.
You bet.
Yeah. No, I didn't have any trouble making up my mind.
So you was in ordnance then, a little bit behind the lines repairing equipment.
Division ordnance, yes, yeah.
Okay.
And then I spent the rest of my time over there with the colonel,
Mm-hmm.
being his bodyguard.
Okay.
And I thought to myself,
Little 5-foot guy being bodyguard,
yeah,
huh?
he said,
5'6".
well, his job was, as the front moved, the ordnance the support companies in each division has to move with them. So they're handy. And he have to go up and look out and find the area. And the thing we'd always looked for was camouflage,
Mhm.
woods if we could find it. So, get me, get Pitt. Always get Pitt. I said to myself, yep, I make a good bodyguard. It's my body I'm going to guard the hell out. So, but I did that until the end of the war, almost.
Mhm.
Well, over there.
Yeah.
And so we get word, this was the humorous part. We get word that they had captured, one of our units had captured a big bus, like the old Greyhound buses.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
If you remember, our first Greyhound buses had a hood out in front
Yes.
with a motor in it. Well, the
Yeah.
new ones don't. The
The-
motor's in the back,
yeah.
So, lo and behold, the general, some general, I don't remember which one it was, wanted to get that bus and bring it back, put it in running condition, and use it to rotate the guys back to Paris for a 24-hour leave or whatever. So, what happens? Get Pitt, he's been in combat, he'll tell you this bus was sitting, the front was, the true front was the blacktop road.
Mm-hmm.
On the German side, we had outposts on the other side of that road with radios. And there's where the Germans was. They were eye-to-eye contact.
Wow.
And this bus was on this side of the blacktop in a garage. The question was, how are you going to get that bus back here without starting another war? So, get Pitt. He's been in combat. Jeez, it was always get Pitt. It's a bad deal in a service. If you got a short name, don't use it. Because that's the only one they can remember or pronounce. Yeah. So they called me in the meeting, and I said, "Oh, how close is the front to to the Germans?" And they said, "Oh, probably 200-300 yards. Your sight, eyesight in daytime. That rules out daytime. Period.
Yeah.
Because they're going to call it an 88 if they see something happening over there." So I said, I would suggest the only place to do it would be, or only time would be at night. But now they gotta listen to be sure if they wanna hit something. They'll listen for a while. So what do you suggest? They will run. I said, well, anybody be a damn fool and go out there and work on it. The clinking of tools is gonna start a war. That's enough right there. Well, what do you suggest? I said, do you really want that thing out of there? And they said, yeah. I said, is it worth losing the tank for? He said, the general said, get it. That's how stupid they are at times. I said, well, get a tank. And sneak in there quietly, put a chain on it, and go like hell when you get the chain hooked. Okay. He calls the tank driver in there, and he says, this is Pitt, this is tank driver. I'm going to put him in charge of this. He'll tell you what he wants done. He's been there. Big deal. So I said, all right. So we looked at where the maps and stuff where it was, and we had to go back through that damn forest to get to there.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's still Germans in there. There's still snipers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I went with the Jeep. I wasn't driving it, I was riding it. We were gonna meet this tank driver, which is closer to the front.
Mhm.
So we're in the middle of this damn forest, and there's a tree across the road. Now we're driving with headlights. I'm off that Jeep and off into the woods all by myself. I yell back, you damn fools, turn them lights off.
Yeah.
But you know, not one round came in.
Really?
Well, luck, sheep. So we get back there. I talked to the tank driver. I said, how long is your chain you got on that tank? He says, 20 feet. I said, geez, 20 feet? Yeah. Well, lots of luck. So anyway, I said, can you run that tank on idle until that chain gets tight? And he said, oh, sure. Don't goose the engine or anything, but when you feel it's taut, can you jam that thing wide open and go and don't stop, no matter what? You don't care about that bus. You just only worry about this tank. If you get this tank through, the bus will be with you. Big shame. So anyway, we do this, and he idles that tank up to that garage, backs it up to it, because he wants it going forward.
Yeah.
He don't want to go backwards. He can turn around, but that he's too hard to control. Yeah, who's going to drive the tank, the bus? I said, I'll steer the damn bus. So we get in it. There's a sergeant I disliked terrible in our ordnance outfit. He was a Texan who was all BS.
Okay.
And who do you want to ride with? I said, Sergeant so-and-so. Put him in the bus with me, because he couldn't get in the tank. See, he could get in the Jeep with it, but he couldn't get in the tank. So he's in the bus standing in the door well. When the bus did all his doors open. And our Sherman tanks had two big twin exhaust pipes. They're big, so big.
Mm-hmm.
Blue flame. Shoots out of there about that far. Yeah, when I said to the driver, when you feel that being tight, just go. Just go. And he did. Well, all of a sudden that flame was coming right at me. I knew what was happening. Bang, we hit that tank. Oh my God. Now we're going to get the artillery. I'm out of that door and into a ditch right past that sergeant. He hasn't got brains enough to realize what's going on. Jeez. Well, we laid there for 20 minutes. But finally, the tank driver come over. And he said, what do you think we ought to do? I said, I think we should get the hell out of here. We're lucky so far. Let's get the chain tight again. He says, well, can you steer it? I said, I don't know and don't care. Put the chain on it and let go. If it comes out of hook, you keep going. You don't worry about us. Okay. I was put in command of the thing. The way we went, well, we get back in this daylight. Oh, you should see the front end of that bus. And, well, you know, a tank's pretty heavy steel.
Yeah.
Particularly protecting that engine. That bus was a mess. Radiator, bumpers, front of the engine, timing chain, the whole thing. Wrapped right around that motor. So then the captain calls me in again. He says, Dave, you did a pretty good job, Mel. Oh yeah, I do. I do good work. And he said, how would you like to take a Jeep and a box of tools,
Okay.
and go see if you can find some parts, scatter around the country, get some parts and put it back together. I said, okay. So who do you want to go with you? And I said, well, Johnny was the cook. And I never got up early for breakfast. I go strewing through the kitchen, he'd give me a cup of coffee, and I'd go work at a truck. And so, anyway, that's what I did. I spent, 4 or 5 days. We come back with the parts.
Yeah.
Then,
Okay. Let's take a little break.
and I didn't care about sleeping in the mud. Here was a semi sitting there with the freight doors.
Yeah.
And I picked up a comforter and for a pad,
Mm-hmm.
and I put it up in the floor of that semi. Well, this sergeant, like a shop foreman, no,
Yeah.
this is ordinance, see. He would inspect our work when we turn it into him. We're done with
Sure.
this vehicle, here it is, and he'd road test it and check it out. Okay, and then he'd bring us another one. Well, he knew I never got up for breakfast. And he said to me, he said, I'm sergeant of the guard tonight. He says, you're gonna get up for breakfast. I said, no, I'm not. He says, yes, you are. I said, don't touch me. Don't touch me when I'm sleeping. I'm telling you right now, don't touch me. He did.
He did.
He did.
And
He reached in that semi, because it was up off the ground.
yeah.
He reached in that semi to grab my foot. And I had the 45 cocked and loaded under my pillow. I didn't look, aim, nothing, just in that direction. There's a hole about that big right above his head, that door.
And what did he say? Sleep on.
It woke me up too, because he was standing there yet. I said, oh God, now I'm gonna get her. I get a general court for this. But then I thought, no, by God, I told you not to touch me. I says, you'll probably go to the colonel now. And I thought, well, I'll tell the truth.
Yep.
And I was ready for it. And he said, I was told, don't touch you. I'm not gonna make an issue of it. I should have known you've been in combat. I should know better. Well, we get pretty touchy when you're in combat. Damn touchy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And damn, they should know better. And but we become the best of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He was one of the few guys out of Texas in that outfit. There's and I was wonder Johnny was from Ohio, I think. There wasn't many. Most of them were all Texans.
Is this the same guy that was in the bus with you?
No,
No.
I was a Texan.
Another
Yeah,
Texan. huh?
jeez. I was wondering if he shit his pants, but he wouldn't tell us.
Oh.
But that was funny. You gotta have to laugh about it later. But later, it wasn't. It was a serious matter at the time.
Yeah, you
Damn
bet.
serious. But I saw the front of that bus. Boy, boy, oh boy, boy. There goes the general's bus. But the story of that bus, I heard later. I called somebody, the division headquarters. You hear about that bus? I made some trips
Yeah,
to
it
Paris. But then it rolled over and killed a bunch of soldiers.
did. Oh, my.
Yeah, he lost control on a curve or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. But it's
Well,
just
got some of them back.
But then there was another one I kind of always want to remember. Is these are the fun parts that some of them turn out that
Yeah.
the memories ain't all bad. The bad memories, who the hell wants to remember them anyway?
That's right.
That little boy.
Most guy don't.
That
most
little
people
boy
don't, yeah.
gonna make tears come to my eyes. It's just.
Yeah.
But when we moved from one unit back to the ordinance, when we moved from, if you were working on a unit, you drove it, if it was drivable. If
Mhm.
not, we had two wreckers, a Diamond T small wrecker, called them 4 tons,
Mhm.
but they'd pick up 4 or 5 ton. And then we had one big air wrecker that could load a tank with it. The wrecker would tow I was
Yeah.
working on a Jeep at the time, and I had a flat tire right in front of a brewery, mind you,
Oh, my.
just outside of Leipzig, Germany. So I'm parked side of the road, and the convoy keeps going. They don't stop. They're not supposed to.
Right.
But the wrecker, that's his job. He pulls up, and he says, "By now, I'm pretty well known by these guys." And well, what's the trouble? I said, "Got a flat tire, don't have a spare." And he says, "I don't have a spare either." He says, "I'll stay with the convoy and go up and come back with a wheel for you with a Jeep." Okay. He says, two guys was riding with, "Anyone you want to stay with, Mel?" I said, "I do." Okay. Now we're looking at this big brewery. Geez, this looks pretty good. So in we go. And the sergeant said, "I will be back here for at least an hour." I know that. So in we go. And I run into a Polish PW that worked there. He was a prisoner of war in Germany. And he was a slave labor is what they are.
Sure.
And I said if he knew where the good schnapps was, German schnapps, and he pointed upstairs. So upstairs we go, and I said again, "This schnapps," and he pointed this office door. We went in, beautiful office, beautiful, all walnut oak and oak. Here sits this guy in a suit behind the desk, and I said, "Schnapps," and he says, "9." I said, "Schnapps, 9." I've got a Thompson 45 in my hand. I went up that wall and across the top and back down. I said, "No, snuff." Yeah.
Yeah.
He pushes a button under his desk and these walls slide open. All the schnapps you could dream of, different makes, different countries. Oh,
Really?
did we get drunk.
In an hour.
So we loaded that Jeep we had boxes and cases of it in that Jeep. And the sergeant came back, the wrecker sergeant, with the wrecker in with the spare wheel, I mean. And he had to put a few in his Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the irony of this whole thing is, the rest of that story is I damn near got a court martial. So, the colonel picked a park that you entered this park underneath a arch like welcome so and so. And you go in and there's a big pond there. And then you go around the pond, either direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the sergeant got pretty smashed. And he drove right
Right.
through that, right out into the middle of the pond and sat there and laughed.
Said, "Oops."
It doesn't like letting everybody know what's going on. So anyway, a couple of days later, I was called in by the colonel. And he said, "Our unit's been going back with no water in the radiators, no grease in the transmissions, some of the motors were molded down, and everybody's been drunk around here for 2 days. And it's your fault." Good. So anyway, we had a major who used to be a efficiency expert. And I got interested in what his work was in civilian life. Such a racket. You go and take movies.
Right.
And then you go back and study them, and then you go back to the factory and say, if you move this here, move that there, you'll pick up somebody.
Yep.
What a racket, I told him. What a racket. Anyway, he said to me, the colonel, "I'm going to apply for general court." And the major spoke up and said, "Well, sir, don't you think you should let Private Pitt at least have a say what he thinks, what happened?" And the colonel thought for a minute. "Yes," he says, "you're right." He says, "What have you got to say for it?" I said, "Well, I'm going to tell you this. I made the booze available by bringing it in here to the Jeep. But I said, these Texans are all 6 foot plus men. And I didn't hold them and haul or the new booze down their throat. And I said, you haven't got one vehicle back here that I worked on that was any complaints on it. Not one." Major says, "He's right, Colonel. He's right." And I says, "I don't think it's fair you're blaming me and somebody's getting drunk because they can't handle their liquor." So, and the major says, "That's right again." He says to me, don't you let it happen again, now get out of here. God.
So that was close,
Oh,
wasn't
sure. But in the general court, I'd have the same argument.
it? Yeah,
I'd have to say, this is damn truth.
it is.
And then, but, I had a couple of them times like that. But when I first went back to ordinance, see, the Battle of the Bulge had just kind of stopped right there.
Yeah,
It was in Vivieres. They were back in some factory building. And I'm 104 pounds down.
really?
Yeah. Skin and bones. And the call was for blood. They called us out. This is like 11 o'clock at night. Get up. Form formation in this big warehouse. There were plenty of room.
Yeah.
There was a big gym. And they said the blood plasma was causing a rash. It wasn't taken. The guys that was taking it wasn't getting. It wasn't reaction. And they got to have some fresh blood. So, do you guys want to volunteer for some fresh blood? I stepped out immediately. I said, I'll give some. They looked at me, you need some yourself. But anyway, I said, I'll give some. And nobody else stepped out. And the captain says, you guys met Mel, he joined us 3 days ago. He's been up there. He's willing to give blood right now, and he shouldn't be giving any blood. And I'm ashamed of you guys. Well, then they started stepping out. But then we were going to get a shot of whiskey. After, of course, they knew that to generate your heart here, you get a little extra pump. So we go back there to the hospital, and they wouldn't accept my blood. I'm AB.
Hey, that's good.
AB can only go with AB.
Yes.
So, but in the meantime, I got my shot of whiskey. So I go back on the other tent outside, and the guy said, well, that was quick. I said, well, it don't take long to drink a shot of whiskey. Well, you got a shot of whiskey and didn't give any blood. I said, that's right. Geez, you're lucky. We're all loaded. We're ready to go back, and the nurse comes screaming out there, who's that got the AB blood? I said, I do. She said, come back in here. We got a guy. I laid down beside him. The blood went from my arm to his arm. Well, by now, I'm on the second shot. I've lost a hell of a lot of blood. I'm getting white as a sheet.
Yeah. And 2 shots of whiskey.
Yeah,
You was
and I
feeling
got 2
pretty
shots
good,
of
weren't
whiskey. And they laid there. I laid there for a while until I got a little better color back. And the doc checked me out, and he says, he can go now. I go, and the guy said, what are you doing? I said, I'm sitting there drinking whiskey. What the hell do you think I'm doing? Yeah, I ain't going to tell him I just got 1 shot. But things like this had happened, and most of the guys, I was their hero.
Yeah.
You know, I could get away with a lot of stuff. But some of it I didn't get away with it, some of it I did. But I still was my own man. Damn it, I can't stand a regimentation of Army.
Yeah.
I could have stayed in and re-upped, the business they give you. Now, I had enough points.
Yeah, sure you did.
I was on my way home for discharge. I was home when Japan, the bomb hit Japan.
Yeah.
I was civilian. Bees. But I got this big sales pitch about going to OCS, and I said, no, you stick OCS up your ass. That's just what I told them. I would have went to OCS when I went in, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't let me have it. But now, because I went through a damn war and didn't die, and come back in one piece, you want me to go OCS, stick it. I could have made the Army my life, but I had to be an officer.
Sure.
I couldn't be a non-com. Couldn't, not even a master sergeant.
Well, now tell us a little bit about how you ended up getting back home and that part of the story. In other words, you're in this ordnance group, and they're going toward Berlin, and you have to stop and wait for the Russians to come in.
Oh, we met the Russians at the border,
Okay.
the Russia border. Our division went down and captured, or they surrendered. We didn't capture them. They surrendered to us, an SS division.
Yeah.
They didn't want the Russians to take them because the
Of course,
Russians would have killed them.
You betcha.
Right then, bing. So, here we are sitting, we can't write home about it. We're guarding the damn prisoners,
Yeah.
so the Russians won't kill them. Jeez. We all want to turn our back. We all want to say, there they are.
Yeah, there they are, huh?
Sure. But that lasted, I think, I don't remember, probably 10 days.
Okay,
And
right at the Russian border.
yeah,
Yeah.
wow. And we had a we had a hospital tent with us with nurses in it. The
Aha,
Russians like to sneak in there and rape those nurses,
Mhm.
and they don't give a damn what they do. But you know, there was an interesting thing about that. This Johnny, the cook, and I took a Jeep, and we went, see, I want to take a Jeep, I road test it. I'd go
Sure.
where the hell I wanted to go.
sure.
And all I had to do was say I got lost. Can't read these signs. So we go into Russia, and oh, did we get drunk. We were at this Russian farmhouse, and this farmer, you know, he thought the Americans were all good. You know, back then we were.
Sure.
To them.
Yep,
And then they get a new leader, they were a bunch of bastards.
yeah,
But right now, it's on the fence, you know.
yeah.
But anyway, he pours this mug of coffee, a coffee mug, I should say, about half full of potato schnapps. And he tells his daughter to warm the bread up, puts it in the oven, warms it up, slices it. You take a slice of this warm black bread and this
Wow.
couple of schnapps, and you down the schnapps.
Uh-huh.
And the daughter was married to a young Russian standing there. And they damn near got in a fight with knives. He said to the daughter, "Are you American? Good. Good Americans. Well, you Slav is American. Yeah, you know what that means. Go to bed with him."
Oh,
And the son-in-law didn't appreciate that. He's
Not
going
bad,
to kill the old man. I said to Johnny, let's get out of here quick. And we left. And a couple days later, they're going to throw a party. So they said, "Pitt, you've been around a while. We'll go down, here's some money. We've collected." Now this is the colonel again. This is
Yeah.
the one who was going to court-martial.
yeah.
He said, "Take this money, we're going to have a party. And bring us back some booze." I said, "Okay." So I take Johnny and away we go. We're gone 4 or 5 days. We come back with a jeep full of booze. And I search your change. He says, "The party's over." He said, "We had it, thanks to you, we didn't have any booze." That's why to keep you sober. I bet he thought he could have shot me right about then. But I had a pretty good.
So now you're at the Russian border, and is that when you found out that it was VE Day?
Oh no.
Or did you come home before that?
Oh no, we were there. May 8th, I think it is, May 5th, it was
Okay.
May 8th, yeah. No, we were there. And already we were thinking,
Yeah.
here we go to the Pacific. Because at the same
Not,
time,
not VJ Day, VE Day, Victory in Europe.
VE, that was May something, May 8th.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it May 8th? Yeah. And so we had no idea that any bombs been dropped or one built yet.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's right.
Truman was a good president.
Yeah.
I voted for him.
I couldn't vote then, but I got the next one.
It's Eisenhower?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a pretty good president.
Yeah.
I voted for him too.
Actually, he was the one that got us all the expressways.
So we knew about the E-Day, and we were told to be prepared. Now, we flew some guys out of there that had more points than I did. They flew them home.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You had to have so many points. And one of them was a big, tall Texan. He didn't smoke cigarettes, but he'd go through 2 packs a day. He'd chew them, paper and all.
Oh, yuck, huh?
Yeah, and he had enough points. But he was in the service before the war ever started, and time, and so. But then we went to Le Havre to get on a boat to go back. Then we went to New York.
So you came back on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Get sick?
No, I didn't.
Was it a smooth ride or a rough ride?
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful ride.
But going over was terrible.
Yeah.
I got pneumonia going over there. in February.
Yeah.
North Sea, and it was convoy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have somebody you'd have to do something and you don't know a damn thing about it, but you gotta do it?
Yeah.
We never had any training on these pom. You know what a pom-pom gun is?
Yeah.
The 4 barrels. I'm up in the bow of this ship going over there. I'm standing there with the lieutenant. And there's been an alarm sounded. Well, there's been a submarine, and they've been dropping depth bombs. Now, we got a troop ship, I think something like 7,000 men on it. That is a prime target.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can have all the airplanes and everything else over there without the men to run them. So everybody's alert. And here comes this plane. This lieutenant's looking up there, and he said, I think that's a German fighter plane spotting for the sub, because we could hear these.
Yeah.
And the USS Texas battle wagon pulled up beside us. It was a mile away, but
Yeah.
it looked like, man, it was right next door. And that was protection for, they'd have to hit that, with the submarine torpedo, they'd have to hit that first.
Yes.
From that side. The other side, they had a destroyer running back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And dropping the depth charges. So he said to me, I think that could be a German fighter plane. He's got the binocular, he's looking out, I'm pretty sure it is. He says, get that done. He said, get prepared to fire. I said, yes, sir. I get this gun out. Look at this damn thing. I don't want to. And I'm looking at that airplane, and I better learn quick. Boy, did I learn quick. But you know, he never come after us. Never strafed or anything.
Never got down
Made a
toward you.
U-turn.
Yeah.
Got a little lower so he could see better. Made a U-turn and went back. Yeah.
Was it a German plane, you think?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you never had to fire the gun?
No.
You never
bet-
admitted that you didn't know how.
Well, the Merchant Marines got guys on board that knows how to run that gun.
Mm-hmm.
But the ammunition was already fed into
Yeah.
it. All you had to do was start
Pulling
pulling
the
the trigger and steer it. But you gotta know how much distance you got to play with and how much lead you gotta have and all this. And it's set on a seat, something like a tractor seat. You
Yeah.
ever seen those steel tractor
yeah,
seats?
yeah.
Yeah, you set on a seat like that. And then
Get on
you go with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a hell of a gun. But I didn't have to do that.
No, that was on the way over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's, you asked me about
Yeah.
the calm seas.
Right.
I'd watch that USS Texas battle wagon go through a wave, and all of a sudden you wouldn't see it. It's going through the
You're
wave.
going right through the waves. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the bow would come out. We'd be go up and down like
Uh-huh.
this, but not him. It
Right
walks
through the waves.
right through the wave. Yeah, yeah. That's a beautiful big boat. Yeah. But well, we could go up and look for miles ships.
Yeah.
You go back down, see nothing but water.
So now you're on your way back,
Yeah.
and where do you land?
New York.
And what did you see?
Ticker tape. We had ticker tape parade. I want
All
you to know.
right.
Yes, a ship met us with a orchestra.
Wow.
Oh, Christmas! The big heroes are back. Yeah. And then we were taking up the river, and that was a mess hall that everybody should see. We were taking up river to Camp Shanks, I think it's called. And we went into the mess hall, and on the wall was anything you wanted. And there was a line there, banquet line, or what do you call it?
Buffet?
Yeah. And you could put your order in when you pick up your tray. And I think some of these guys are crazy, absolutely crazy. Majority of them ordered hamburgers.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that, and I said, gee, I want a T-bone steak, the biggest damn steak they had.
Yeah.
And it's ready for you when you get down the other end.
Huh.
And that's the Army mess hall now. But this is a different mess hall, see?
You bet.
Have to be.
Yeah, that didn't last long, one meal. And then from there we went to Texas, Camp Swift, Texas.
Okay.
That was the home of that division. and to regroup to go to the Pacific.
Yeah,
Well, then the bomb fell,
yeah, and changed all,
and
everything, didn't it?
we and us guys we were on the bulletin board. Our names would come up with the points, what day we were getting discharged.
Mhm.
What
And
was
then-
your thoughts about dropping the bomb?
Oh, I'm for it.
Was you surprised that they
Yeah.
did?
We would have lost probably more men than we'd ever could guess.
Mhm.
And I know Japanese would too. Because look at the islands we took. And look at the deaths. We just taken a little island. My God, you're gonna take the mainland?
Yeah,
It's a do or die deal for the Japanese. They are not gonna surrender.
that's
And
right,
Yeah,
and they didn't,
yeah,
not until the bomb hit them.
yeah. I'm for it. And I'm for Bush going into Iraq.
Iraq. I'd rather go over there than here.
My argument is that if somebody would have stopped Hitler before he got so strong, we would not have had a World War II.
Well, that's right.
But nobody did.
Nobody
listened
paid
to all
attention
this-
to 'em, did they?
All this political.
Well, they helped him.
Yeah.
They actually helped him at the start.
We had the British had an envoy over there that would come back and say, oh, everything's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's in the history books, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well, he's taking Holland, he's taking this, he's taking that.
Yeah, don't worry
I
about
think
it.
Hussein would do the same thing, and he would have control of that oil, and he would run the world, and he would.
Yeah, he would have, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that also.
Yeah, maybe, I voted for Bush. I think
We did too.
it took a maverick like him to do this, because a politician wouldn't have done it, because he's worried about his image.
Takes a very
Get
strong,
reelected and all that,
Right.
strong person to
Yeah.
maintain what he's doing.
yeah, and I don't think Obama is gonna be a good president. He's gonna be another Clinton.
McCain, hopefully he'll get in.
I hope so, It's,
Well, we'll see. It's not, it's certainly not decided yet. Certainly isn't. There's a long road to go before November.
You've listened to me tell about some things. I have agreed with our club there. I used to talk to seniors, college seniors, every year about their first interview for a job. Be prepared and how to get prepared. So I told them I would, the club is putting on these guest speeches for high school students and college students, and that I would volunteer to do it. And I would probably have to add some politics to mine, because I think if the younger people don't wake up, they're going to lose their America.
Yeah.
They're going to lose it. There's
But
too
they
much.
don't have any values anymore.
No, I know. There's too much talk about the Eurodollar. Now it's America, Canada, Mexican dollar. Our borders still are not right. And now they're talking about this highway's got to go through from Mexico to Canada. And just nip away a little bit each year, and all of a sudden, wham.
Yep. Now, as you were discharged, how did you get home?
Train.
Train?
Train.
Rode a train all the way from Texas?
Yes.
And where were you living then, in Grand Rapids?
Grand Rapids, yes.
Okay, and what did you do then?
Not much for a while.
Okay. Kind of lived it up for a little while.
Well, I had $300 in my pocket. but-
And well, they had this,
Jeez.
soon after that, they had what rocking chair money, 52 weeks of,
I never drew it.
didn't you?
No.
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 Had a job before then.
Yeah. I couldn't. I remember when I was a little kid. My grandma, we were on the welfare,
Yes.
and that's why I got the free glasses. But the welfare didn't buy them. The Association of Blind bought them.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go down there and stand 5 minutes for $50 or $500. It's just the humanity. They treat you like you're dirt.
Yep.
And that bugs me, because I think about the people. I grew up in the Depression. I think about the people. We didn't go out and steal when we needed something.
Right.
We found ways to do it. We found ways to get food.
You'd work for it.
And these kids today are not going to put up with anything. They think
Yeah.
the world owes them a living.
Yeah, have you noticed the increase of bank robberies and so on here in the last year?
To this morning,
Yeah.
there's so many gas stations been robbed, they think by the same girl.
Yes.
Now, girls are committing crimes that the boys never used to do.
Right.
It's,
It's sad.
I know it. And instead of stealing the gas, they're stealing the gas money.
Yeah.
Then they go to another gas station and pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of money in the gas stations nowadays.
Oh,
At
sure.
$4 a gallon, you know, and it's some of them are very interesting. After you came back and got a job, where did you go to work?
I'm thinking. I worked for my uncle for a while as a mechanic.
Okay,
And
makes sense.
I was buying, this is a funny one. You're not gonna believe it. I was buying repossessed cars from the bank.
Sure.
I was a customer. I'd go in there and sign a note.
Yep.
They'd give me the keys, tell me where the car was, and I'd go to pick it up. I'd take it home. Some of them cars, I washed them, that's all I had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't give them away. They couldn't sell them. And I was doing this probably 1 or 2 a week. I was making out like a damn bandit.
Yeah. You're doing this yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
On their money. Well,
On their
borrowing
money.
it, but I paid them interest. So
Sure.
finally, one of the old VPs said to me, Michigan National Bank, said to me, we got a proposition for you. I said, I'm not interested in your damn propositions at all. I'm your customer, I'm happy with that. Let's leave it alone. No, he says, I will hear me out. So he says, we got 36 repossessed cars on our hands right now. We can't get rid of them. We give them away, but that we don't want to do. He says, how about if we turn all them over to you, and strictly your 36 cars to do with what you want with them. If says you break us even or make us money to have a job forever. And I'm thinking, I don't care about a job forever. I could have stayed in the Army if I wanted that. But 36 cars at my disposal, what I want to do with them, they're not going to make any money, but they'll break even. I guarantee that. Because that's not why I was doing this. So anyway, I said, okay, 36. He says, do you want this in writing? I said, no, and I'm not going to give you anything in writing. Fair enough. Handshake. Okay. 30 days went by and I had them all sold. He calls me in. He said, we had an agreement. I said, I know it. I've been job shopping. He said, I know. I heard a couple calls. He says, how would you like to stay with us for this 90 days? He says, we'll keep our word. He said, we might have another 36 cars in that 90 days. I said, what do you want me to do? And he says, I think you could go out and collect money that we can't seem to collect. They have 2 henchmen. One's the next deputy sheriff and the other one is the next state police private clothes. They wear guns. He said, do that for the 90 days. So he introduced me to a young man in there and he said, his name was Ed. He said, Ed will tell you what we want and show you what you got to do and all this. And he left. So Ed says to me, he's got 12 personal signature notes, no collateral. They run from $1,000 to $5,000 each, all monthly payments. He says, here's 12 accounts. He says, all I can tell you is go collect the past dues, show me how the card reads, you know, and if there's late charges and all that. He said, if you have any trouble, you just call me, I'll get you all straightened out. I said, okay, goodbye. So I left. I came back the next morning and I threw 12 cards in his desk and there was money collected to date on 11 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I said, now what kind of stupid games you want to play tomorrow? So from then on, him and I didn't get along at all. He's going to show me what to do. He ain't going to show me nothing. Jeez. So anyway, within a week, they were chasing me all over on big stuff, commercial loans.
Yeah.
And finally, his name was Stone. He said, Well, he says, the way you get along with the public and collect money, he said, you see that desk over there, we're gonna make you a loan officer. I said, you're not gonna make me a loan officer, I'm not gonna sit at that damn desk. He says, we had a 90-day gentleman's agreement, and your 90 days isn't up yet. Sit at that desk, or go home. So I thought, all right, I'll sit at that desk. Well, let's see, probably 3 or 4 years later it was, somewhere in there, I was managing that whole department. And
that's how you got into the banking business.
you know, I thought, it's a racket.
Yeah.
I never had such an easy job in all my life.
And got
Yeah.
paid for it.
But it was, I thought it as a racket. I would go to work feeling good,
Mhm.
because every morning you got a challenge.
Yeah.
This guy's in who wants $200,000, he's got a contract to do this or do that. And somebody else is a farmer, it's harvest time, he needs 20 grand to take care of the pickers. It's just, you know, every day is something a little different, and that always intrigued me. And then I wasn't making enough money to satisfy me, so I started job shopping. And golly, just let the word out that I was offered a job in Traverse City. The utopia of Michigan is Traverse City. And then I was offered a job in Marquette. Then I was offered a job to start a bank in Marquette. I did. Then I was offered to start a national bank down in Gaylord, and I did. And that's when I resigned, after I got it going, you know.
So you ended up president?
President, chairman of the board, and I had 5% of it,
Wow.
yeah.
So along this road, you got married. When along this road did you get married?
I come home. It's the girl I was going with
Well, in school?
in
In high
school. Yeah,
school?
she went to South, and I was in senior year, and I was in Kelloggsville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I married her then when I come home.
Okay, so what year was that?
Yeah, that was jeez. We were married for 40 years.
Oh my goodness.
45.
45, yeah, that would be about right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The winter it'd be fall of 45.
Yeah.
Okay. And you went in the service when? In
42.
42.
42.
Yeah.
I was only in 3 years.
Yeah. Now,
And I was in enough 3 years to get all them damn points, and I was out of that army.
just quick as you got in, right?
They tried to kill me. That's how I got all the points.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta stand up. Oh, geez, I got a cramp.
okay.
There we go.
So
Back
what else
again.
you want to know?
Kids.
Oh.
Do you have any children?
No, never did. And I'm not sorry that I didn't. What I see today, my kids would have never made it. I'd have killed them.
Well, it's like I always told my kids, I said they might as well put my name on the jail cell.
Yeah.
You know, well, you can't hit me, Ma. I said, hey, let them put me in jail. You know, you will mind.
See, my uncle brought me up with my grandmother,
Yeah.
my mother's sister's husband. And I wouldn't do anything to hurt him. And he could tell me to do something once. And I come back and say, you got it right. Well, hell yes, you got it right. You know, why I would, I'd break my back to get it right.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Well, it's awful to have a kid of yours stand up and say, you know, go yourself, you know. I don't have to do what you tell me.
yeah.
And, you know, just back talk and...
I don't know what the law reads, but a backhand across the mouth might put me right in jail for quite a while.
It would, yes.
Well, I don't think so.
It,
It's a shame. It's a shame. But you know,
So
I
what
mentioned-
bank, you said you were president of the bank in Gaylord?
Yes, yeah. I
Okay.
started it.
You started the bank in Gaylord.
I was
First
one of the
National.
original originators. Yes, there was 13 of us.
I have many relatives in Gaylord.
Well, no, I left there in 1970. 79, I think it was.
79.
78, right in there.
I think my uncle was up there then.
Were they?
Louis Collins
Colin?
was the service manager at the Chevrolet garage.
Didn't know him.
Okay.
Drove a Chrysler.
Did you? Well, that took care of that, didn't it?
Is your wife still living?
No, she died. That's the end of the 40 years that she died. That's why I
Oh,
was only married to her for 40. My wife now, we've been married for 18, I think.
Yeah.
18
goodness
years,
gracious.
yeah. And she's got cancer and had a
Oh,
stroke.
my.
Colon
Oh.
cancer with a
Bag.
yeah. And the stroke affected her eyes. She can't see.
Yeah.
And she has trouble. She can't write her name anymore. So
Your age?
her age, she's 4 years older than I am. Way back when I first went to Michigan National Bank, she was, when I got a secretary. She was my private secretary.
Okay.
And she was married and had kids so high.
Yeah.
And later, when we dated a couple of times. This was about 18, 17 years ago. Well, I said, I'll never marry a woman with kids, and you've got kids. She says, well, I don't know how kids can bother us. She says, her husband died too. And I says, she says, they're all 60 or 50 some years old. Oh, I said, that's beside the point. You'd be surprised the trouble they're giving me right now.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I got so mad at them here not so long ago, I sent them all register letters.
There you go.
They all said the same thing. They're all telling me how I'm supposed to take care of their mother. Jeez.
Like you didn't know how, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's oh, they don't get enough private time with them. There's a lady I have in there. She gets $10 an hour. My wife likes her.
Sure.
The kids don't.
Oh,
Too bad.
They won't come and see when she's there. I could care less. I get in this argument with her. I said, there's only one woman, one person that can fire that girl, and that's just your mother. And she likes her, so you're going to put up with her. Then they say, why do I? She says to me, why don't so and so show up anymore? I said, they don't like. Her name is Darlene. They don't like Darlene. So, should I fire her? And she says, no, you don't fire her. So I sent them all, just this past week, I sent them all a registered letter. Yeah. They're complaining they don't have any private time with their mother. So I made them a good offer, and none of them taken me up on it.
take care of her.
I said, anytime you want to spend some private time with your mother, here is the proposition. 1 day, 1 night, 1 week, 1 month, I don't care. Give me a day's notice. The refrigerator and freezer will be full of the food you like, and the drinks you like, and whatever. And when you arrive, I, myself, and the ladies that take care of your mother will no longer be available until you decide to go back home. Now, can you beat that?
No.
No.
Free room for board and all that whole 9 yards? Oh, they
Heavens
got
no.
very mad about that.
Why?
I said, I'm only complying with your wishes.
There you go.
You can't win. You can't win.
Yeah, they don't appreciate that, but damn it,
They live around here?
oh yeah, they all do. That's why we live around here. Otherwise, I'd probably be up in Marquette.
Oh, my goodness.
I like UP.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice up there.
Till it gets winter time.
Well, you can hibernate in the
Well, see,
wintertime.
when I lived up there, I was interviewed for the job on a ski hill on skis. We'd ride up with one director, and he'd quiz me, and then we'd ski down, and the other director would ride up, and he'd quiz me. And after skiing all afternoon, they said, that he was an eye surgeon. He said, well, when can you start working for us, Mel? I said, we haven't even agreed on salary yet. Now you're asking me when I can start to work. I said, I don't know. It depends on what you're going to pay. I may never be able to come up here to work. And he said, because he knew I liked to ski. That's why I love the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, well, you work it out with our president. Whatever you and him agree at, you're hired, as far as we're concerned. Well, it was simple as that. But That's how I got started at Marquette. I let the word out that I was looking for a job.
Okay.
But see, lending money in the banking world this is the income part of a bank.
Yes.
The rest of the bank is just supporting that department. They gotta have the money, the
And
profit.
well, sure, because that's where they make their interest.
Yeah, yeah.
And the more they loan, the more they can get. The more they can get, the more they can loan.
That's right, and you can have millions in a savings account, a bank can. If it's not making them any money, they'll go broke.
Yep.
So, I don't know, but I think it's warm in here. I'm gonna take my coat off. And another cramp, same time, kill two birds. I say this, and I think I'm right. I think our Vietnam veterans got a dirty deal.
Oh, I know they did. You
They-
bet.
I said, if you knew much about World War II, we came home just as damn saturated with booze as they are with drugs.
Oh, yes, yes.
The only thing is, the booze you could control.
Yeah.
I could drink a whole pint a day, and you'd never know I had a drink, other than smell it. Well, you get accustomed to some of that stuff, and
Yeah.
Drugs are a little different.
but
Well, the drugs keep you from not working. You don't work if you get
no.
get on.
And
Get
I
on
never
the
went
drugs
to
and
work.
work
I
anymore.
never went to work
Yeah.
ever with a drink
Yeah.
on me. On the way home, I might stop and have a cocktail with the guys,
Yeah.
but I never went to work with a drink. It's and I liked my job once I got into bank. It was a racket. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a racket.
Yeah.
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 Well, Mel, it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Well,
We're so happy that you called Don and said you wanted to come in for an interview.
well, I didn't. He asked me if I told him
Oh, okay.
I told him I would participate in this going out to the schools. And because I used to do this for the university up
Sure.
there in the graduation class. I got letters from every one of them that said they enjoyed it, they learned a lot, and the whole thing was simple. You're gonna go for your first interview.
Yeah.
You should treat it just like you would your final test. Do
Yeah.
your homework first.
You bet.
Only you're not gonna do your homework about you, you're gonna do your homework about them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you got you can sell them?
There you go.
Isn't that simple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is simple.
Then there's another simple little trick.
Yeah.
Now, did I miss how he got injured?
Who?
You.
Yeah, you.
You did, yeah. You never mentioned it.
How did you get injured?
I better start from the beginning.
Okay.
1945,
Go on.
46 I think it was, 47, somewhere in there. I applied for Purple Heart. Not the heart, but the pension.
Yeah. Okay.
And my ear, we were bombed one night in northern France. We had German Air Force had what they called bed check Charlie. You ever hear that word?
Oh, yes.
So he would fly around at night, but always usually bed check.
Same time every night.
Every time, same time. And you could tell it was German plane and not ours by the sound of the engine. You learn sounds quick.
Yeah.
Them sounds are dangerous, yeah. But this plane, we were in I think it was cherry trees in France. I don't remember if it was cherry trees, it was small trees, not big trees. And Bedchuck Charlie was doing his thing. Well, we had some rookies in there who was gonna end this war right now. They stand out there, they start shooting at this airplane with their M1s.
Oh yeah.
That airplane made a U-turn and come back. And he started dropping cherry picking bombs. That's what we call cherry pickers or something. They go off in the trees.
Mm.
And I was in a Vauxhall, but for some reason, the eardrum of this ear got blown out. Concussion. there was no place for it to go. See, I was
Yeah.
down in a hole, and it blew it out. And so, my ear is my injury. I didn't, and I bled for, I don't know, for 3-4 days. Blood came out of my ear and stuff and ringing, terrible, and pain. And I was in the hospital for 5-6 days for that. I think it was 6 days they let me out. And VA would not recognize it, because they claimed that my records were burnt. No records, you got a proof.
Yeah.
I look pretty healthy, why in hell should they?
Yeah.
But anyway, after fighting all these years, this last August, I had it with them. I caught him lying in writing, in letters.
Ooh.
And then I have been to University of Michigan, and I've been to Wisconsin University, and I had quite a lot of law credits. No, I had them. But they gave in. I couldn't go ahead and pursue it any further. They agreed. And but Pete Hoekstra, you know who
Oh,
he
yes.
is?
Yes.
I finally got him. I said, Pete, will you write and ask them to send you my records? Because all I get back, I get stuck something. My records were burnt. If you can produce this or that, can you imagine that 07, 06, I'm supposed to produce a letter from the doctor who serviced my ear in 1945?
You had no idea who it was.
No, I knew he had gray hair. That I know. And 2 of my buddies that was with me when my ear got perforated, 10 days later one was killed. Another 3-4 weeks later, the other one was shipped back to America because of his wounds. So I'm supposed to get a letter from them. This is a foolish game they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And still no records, see. So they wrote to Pete, answered his letter, and said they had sent Mr. Pitt all their records that they have. Well, that's nice, 'cause I knew damn well they had a record. Because they agreed to pay for the hearing aid. Now, you don't agree to pay for a hearing aid if you don't have any records. So, I said to Pete, they're lying to you. Write to them again and tell them you want my medical records, all my medical records. And he did. And back comes this form from the hospital. It's all signed by the doctor.
Oh, my
Exactly what went on.
Oh, wow, lucky, huh?
Yeah.
You bet.
Prior to that, they didn't have any records
Uh-huh.
in writing to Pete. So with this, I go over there and said, they have a DAV,
Yeah.
Disabled American Vets. I belong to that. So until then, I didn't belong to Purple Heart. See, I didn't have it yet. So I went over there with it, and I said, they won't talk to a veteran. That's wrong. This is something that should be changed in Washington. Oh, they'll have a hearing with you. I've had hearings with them.
Yeah.
It's a fact. About 2 months prior to this, I had a hearing with him. And this smart ass comes in there and says, excuse my language. I'm Mr. So-and-so, and he says, I'm here to have your hearing. He says, I have the authority to conduct this hearing and then decide whether to grant your claim or deny it. And I said, that is nice. That's telling me that I can walk out of here and know that I'm either going to get the grant or I'm going to get turned down. He said, that's right. We get all done talking. I said, well, am I going to get the grant or are you going to turn me down? He said, I don't have authority to do that. I said, you just told me that. You just told me that. Then you have no authority. As far as I'm concerned, you have nothing. And we just wasted our time here.
Yep.
He says, we haven't wasted our time because we're done. I said, no, we're not. We're not done. You're not done with me. I haven't even started yet. Jeez. So anyway, I go over there with this form, and I said, you go in and tell them I'm gonna wait, you go ahead and tell them. Within a week, I'm gonna have them in court. And that judge is gonna tell them that you will produce these records in so many days or you'll be fined every day, because there are no excuses. It takes 6 weeks to find your records.
Yeah.
Computer, 6 weeks, very hard.
Yeah.
But that's what they tell the veteran, if he wants records. Oh,
Yeah.
well, we gotta put somebody on it, we're shorthanded, it's gonna take 4 or 5 weeks.
But they tell them to have a fire down in St. Louis, burn them all up.
Yeah, yep. And now, I can see their reasoning behind this. Having been a boss over a few people, you can say to a higher authority, the government, we are understaffed. We got this big backlog of veterans. My God, they're coming to us faster than we could handle them. Well, why are they backlogged? Because they backlog them. Now, you work for the government, you get paid about levels. If this guy's got 2,000 people under him, he's gonna be on a higher level than the guy with 1,000 people
Yes.
under him. So to get to that next level, he's gotta hire more people. And he can't hire more people unless he can convince them that he's got more customers.
More work, yes.
Yep. So, and then, let's get to the World War II vet. At our age, if they can stall this,
You'll die.
You'll die before.
that's right. And the average age is 72, and I'm 84.
Yep.
Yeah, past 84. So, I got no use for VA. That's why when I walk in that building over there, my blood pressure.
Okay.
I
Makes sense, doesn't it?
don't know. But I've always been one that, to the point, get the show on the road, get the job done, get to the point. I was nominated once to become a treasurer for a congressional district, and I had a 3-minute speech in Cole Hall. And I thought, geez, this is new for me, this is different. So there's 3 of us. So I said, I want to be the last speaker. And this proves what I'm talking about. Get to the point, get the job done, that's all you gotta do. Well, 2 of them got up, each had 3 minutes. Every one of them. They promised this, they promised that, they promised, oh, I don't know what the hell all they didn't promise. All in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's my turn. I got up and said, I'm not gonna waste your 3 minutes or my 3 minutes. I'm not gonna make one promise. I will say this to you. If I'm elected, I'll do the job. If not, forget it. And I sat down. I
what
got
it
every
should
damn
be.
vote in the house.
That's the way it should be.
Because I really didn't want it.
There
I only
you go.
used 1 minute.
Right.
But